Hey there, guys. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. Hope your week is going well. A few new exciting updates for you. Number one, I wanted to talk about best and worst decisions that we make. We all make decisions on a regular basis, on a daily basis. Sometimes that decision is a good one, and sometimes that decision is a not so good one. But I want to talk about one of the best decisions I personally made moving into 2023 in December of last year. I was inducted into Rotary Club International, was invited in from a dear friend, and I wasn't all that familiar with Rotary, only from a distance. I knew that they were a philanthropic giving organization, but I didn't realize the powerful positive impact that they were having around the world. And so in these, just couple short months since I became an active member, it has been so exciting to not only meet people who share my heart and vision of service above self and reaching out, caring, showing empathy and compassion to the community, but also to see the spread of that impact, both locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. And it really is an extraordinary compounding effect. And it's been a very exciting and very positive and encouraging experience for me thus far. Last night, we had one of our evening Rotary meetings, and I invited a dear friend, Sue Hess, who's the executive director of a powerful human trafficking outreach called Reclaiming Hope. And she graciously joined us from Colorado via Zoom last night and presented to us statistics and numbers. And just I got to know her beginning, I guess, in the summer of 2022. It hasn't been all that long, and interviewed her and her outreach and how they are working directly with the FBI and law enforcement in getting these amazing hope bags into the hands of victims, and then walking with them post the trauma through that journey, and even finding housing for them and allowing them the grace to heal and become whole and be restored. It's just amazing, touch my heart to the core. So I'm helping to be an advocate and to bring awareness for that. But last night, she just hit us right between the eyes with that presentation. And, not only are the numbers staggering, but this is hitting so close to home, guys, in our backyards in the United States of America. Trafficking, just like the fentanyl crisis now, has become an epidemic of massive proportions. It's just absolutely out of control. And I'm going to share my screen here for just a moment. I wanted to, lost my page here. I wanted to show you something that's quite staggering as well, if you will. But this has to do with basically getting a glimpse into what this looks like from state to state. Give me just a second here, get this pulled up. And, the impact that this is really having all around our nation. And so this website here, as I share my screen with you, is the Shared Hope International Institute for Justice and Advocacy. And you'll see that Shared Hope's international report cards on child and youth sex trafficking are graded under an advanced legislative framework, providing a comprehensive analysis and assessment of all state statutes related to and impacting child and youth sex trafficking in all 50 states and DC. So it's extensive. These guys have been around. They've got the experience to boot. And here's a basic overview of what you're looking at in the country. And as you can see, the different colors of grading, nobody's got an A this far. One state's got a B, but we have states all over the country that have an F. So I'm going to go right on down here to South Carolina, where we are, and you can see that our state scored a D. And you can take a deeper look at the various grading structures that they utilize to give this assessment and give this score. So number one, criminal provision, policy goals accomplished in areas related to buyer accountability under the trafficking law, buyer and trafficker accountability under state CSEC laws, mistake of age defenses, decoy defenses, and business entity liability under the trafficking law. Gap remains related to financial penalties. So they are thankfully becoming more stringent on the criminal penalization of this, but that is really the only area that's somewhat positive, if you will. SC identification of and response to victims. We're looking at an F here, 15.5 out of 27.5. Policy goals accomplished in areas related to foreign national victims, non-criminalization for sex trafficking offenses, affirmative defenses for violent felonies, child abuse definitions, and non-familial trafficking cases. Gaps remain in areas related to third-party control, screening through child welfare, and the juvenile justice system. Non-criminalization for prostitution offenses, expanded non-criminalization, and juvenile court jurisdiction. SC Carolina continuum of care, policy goals accomplished in areas related to community-based services, MDT responses, services through child welfare. Gaps remain in the areas related to services through the juvenile justice system, extended foster care services, and appropriations. And we're looking at a hardcore D there, 9.5 out of 15. Access to justice for trafficking survivors in SC. Policy goals accomplished in areas related to restitution and civil remedies. Gaps remain in areas related to civil orders of protection, crime victim compensation, vacatur, and statutes of limitation. And we're looking at a nasty D there as well. Tools for victim-centered criminal justice response in SC. Gaps remain in all areas, including hearsay exceptions, alternatives to live, in-court testimony, victim support, privileged communications, fail there. And finally, prevention and training in SC. Gaps remain in all areas, including training for child welfare, juvenile justice agencies, law enforcement, prosecutors, and school personnel, as well as prevention education in schools. A big, old, fat F, fail. And we share that with a lot of states across the board. And looking at the faces of numerous individuals in that room last night, as Jesus was presenting to us, said it all. It's a shock to the system if you're not aware how bad this has become. And when I say it's in our backyards, I'm talking about the amount of family members that are trafficking their own family members and loved ones. And we understand, that there's an extraordinary amount of abuse happening with all this. I met another wonderful couple here that runs an outreach with essentially centered around child abuse and things like that. And we're bringing them into our awareness and education campaign. And just, so many different wonderful organizations who care and want to see a change, want to see a difference. We're bringing them together. And this week, we're also meeting with the Public Defender's Office to talk about strategies and ways that we can begin to implement educational awareness and prevention tools. And so last night, we began some Q&A with Seuss, which got interrupted, but I had a question for her as a parent. And so, as if you're a parent out there, especially with younger children, this is probably something that's, you've given thought to. And if you haven't, you need to. What can we do to educate ourselves? What can we do to prepare? Again, she talked about wonderful signs that we can be looking for, to understand this is happening, and the various people that they've trained within the Reclaiming Hope organization that just didn't understand until they were properly educated, and then just saw the signs everywhere around them of children and youth and people who are being trafficked. So this is no joke, guys. And again, I am just so grateful for Rotary Club International. So many good things happening on so many levels. And, once we begin to join together and create those collaborative relationships, there's a synergy that is created, and the accessibility that we have to meet with, recognize, and hear from so many different other influential people and organizations who, are working their tails off to make a difference, and feel, I think, at times that they're, spinning the wheels, that they're trudging through the mud. And it's going to take a seriously unified effort to make the kind of impact necessary to bring this to the forefront. And I spoke briefly with one of the founders of Bereaved Mom from a fentanyl awareness community. One of our key Rotary folks here, my friend Rachel, also lost a family member to fentanyl. So that's another thing that we are pushing for, to advocate awareness and education around. It's just, again, we're talking about the number one cause of death for Americans age 18 to 45. So again, it's no joke, guys. Service above self. I love Rotary's mantra. I love that, again, we're continually thinking outside the box. And as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, as a family man, as an active daddy, you know, life gets hectic, right? We all get caught up in our little world and everything that's happening around us. And sometimes, it means working more, working harder than we necessarily want to, in order, to make ends meet and provide for our families. But at the same time, we can't lose sight of the desperate need that is out there in our world around us. And I was fortunate. I was asked to come up and pray to start our Rotary meeting this morning. And, I almost choked up a bit, because there's just an immense sense of gratitude in my heart, especially in light of everything that our family's been through personally, everything that our world has experienced, our nation has underwent over the past few years. And I just feel like this year there is not only an extraordinary sense of urgency, unlike ever before, that I felt, and I've felt that urgency in my heart and spirit for a long, long time, but also a critical window of opportunity to really get into action and make an impact. And so it's a big passion project of mine. It's a big goal. I'm pushing so hard personally to see people whole in all areas of aspects of their life, to being the legacy minded man that I am. Building a legacy is thinking about all those areas of our person, of what we want to build and leave behind. Again, that we're whole physically, that we're healthy. Are we focused on our health? Are we exercising, eating healthy to the best of our ability, making sure that our body can sustain itself, especially as we get older, right? To do these projects and to do the extraordinary amount of work that's ahead of us. I mean, parenting in and of itself is just a boatload of work, right? But mentally, emotionally, are we strengthening our psyche? Are we strengthening our mental fortitude? Spiritually, are we building ourselves up, right? I just feel like we're going to need more and more resilience and fortitude and endurance as things progress in our world. And I realize there's dire circumstances happening all over the world, and you have to know when to unplug. And if you're gonna listen to what mainstream media is talking about, it's your responsibility to do due diligence and research and dig for the truth, because it's getting more and more difficult to find that with disinformation, misinformation, propaganda, and the narrative and the Kool-Aid that's being fed to us on a regular, daily, consistent basis. And so I know that requires effort, but it's our responsibility. And there's a level of accountability there in order that we can be prepared and be positioned. And again, there's times we got to unplug. You can't dwell there. You can't live in the negativity. You got to stay positive. You got to stay engaged. And one of the best ways to do that is to get outside of your circle, your sphere, and continually work on how you can serve and empower others. And so I encourage you, you're going to see a lot in the days, weeks, and months ahead, probably some new podcasts within our community and these different organizations coming together, not only, so that we can educate regionally and statewide, but also nationally and internationally, and get that word out into the world. And so, we'll have speakers from law enforcement and people from all different areas and walks of life, entrepreneurs, business owners, retirees. Again, the gentleman who invited me into Rotary, Mike, has been in it 42 years, and he was one of the original founders of our local Rotary Club. And so just a vast amount of experience and expertise, and people who have spent a significant portion of their lives giving back, serving, and just doing good and paying it forward to others. So I encourage you, regardless of if it's Rotary or not, get more involved, get more active in, finding a cause that you are passionate about or that you want to support, and, make it part of your mission, part of your purpose in 2023 to do whatever you can to make an impact and bring awareness to the extraordinary amounts of need that are out there that I know, we couldn't all fill if we wanted to, but a little bit here, a little bit there together, where one can put 1,000 to flight, two can put 10,000, and we have that exponential compounding effect to have some extraordinary impact. So guys, I am fired up. Think outside the box, right? Keep an open mind, be willing to learn something new, right? Again, for me, it's empowering others right now, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, right? That's a big thing right now. We want to help people get positioned where they can get ahead, right? Where they're not have to live paycheck to paycheck, hand to mouth. A big part of that is getting out of debt. And we're so fortunate to work with some extraordinary companies and organizations that are just empowering Americans to get out of debt completely in a fraction of time, and utilize and leverage that same debt to build a healthy retirement income and revenue stream, so that when the time comes or when the job is lost, they're not struggling to keep their heads above water. So I just wanted you guys to know how much I appreciate you. And regardless if we're in contact or communication right now, if you're out there doing something in the service of others, I want to thank you. We want to thank you, and we want to encourage you to keep going. I know that at times, having spent an extraordinary amount of my life in service of others, that at times it can be very unrewarding, and we're not looking for that temporal reward. It's just more of an eternal reward. But it also helps to know that we're being appreciated, right? And so I just want to encourage you, tell you that I appreciate you. We appreciate you. Keep going, keep loving, keep giving, keep serving, and most of all, never ever give up. Appreciate y'all. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.